Okay, this is lecture 4, Ayurvedic oils. Now, oils play very important role in Ayurvedic therapy called Snehanam. Snehanam literally it means oleation, oiling. And how important is the oiling in Ayurveda? Not only do we oil the body externally by Abhyanga massage, especially for pacifying Vata and Pitta within the body. So we really, the herbs penetrate all the epidermal layers, and they say if the oil is warm enough and hot enough, it can quickly directly go into the bloodstream. Of course, the doctors may not agree, but this is what the Ayurvedic texts say. So there's the external oleation, which is Snehanam, and there's the internal oleation. And this external and internal are very important, especially in a country which is obsessed with fat-free and low-fat diet. And Ayurveda really doesn't believe in calories, does it? And then there's the whole controversy with ghee, because technically it's supposed to have 8 milligrams of cholesterol per teaspoon. But there have been studies done that, ghee has actually reduced cholesterol in some, but it's not a clinical study. There's no really good claims to substantiate that. So what is the ghee? What is the virya of different oils? This is very important because we need oils. How do we need it? We need the good oils. We need the bad oils. In fact, when someone has cholesterol, which is undigested fat molecule, which is really ama, we give what? We give oils. For example, they give omega-3 oil. They can give cold-pressed coconut oil, even flaxseed oil. Isn't that interesting that to reduce cholesterol, you need the good fats to kill the bad fats. So the proof is in the pudding how important the fats are. You need the omega-3 that usually come from that fish, salmon, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's called salmon, yes. Cold-pressed coconut oil has medium-chain triglycerides. And then you have the flaxseed oil, they're very high in omega-3. Then you'll also hear, there's so many terms. There's saturated fat, there's trans fat, there's cold-pressed. So let's talk about this myth of Ayurvedic oils. And feel free to ask me questions. I'll just give you the mic since you just one person today. Oils or thylam are the most important ingredient in Ayurvedic Snehanam, either internally by using them in food to increase absorption. Do you know how oils improve absorption? Then oils are used as anupana. Just like, you need for vitamin A absorption, you need fats. In Ayurveda, every single herb that we use needs a binding agent that binds. And what is the quality of oil? It is very heavy, it's oily, so it binds to the herb. And it is a vehicle that carries the herbs to the tissues, to the inside the body. Otherwise, it's just a dry powder. It is used externally as massage oils. It's also used for bastis, giving enemas in Ayurveda. And then massage oils have different virya. Virya being either they're cooling or they're heating or stimulating. If you have a person, let's say they come for massage, they're a pitta person, so they have a lot of inflammation and their muscles are inflamed up in the shoulders. Using stimulating heating oils does not make sense. But you can use a stimulating heating oil mixed with a cooling oil, because the heating oil actually is more healing. You can use sandalwood. So sometimes I'll use sesame oil for a Vata Pitta person, mixed with sandalwood and mixed with some Pitta ingredients together. In other parts, you have a Vata Pitta person, their extremities are very cold, but parts of their body are very hot. So you can use, in Ayurveda, you can use different oils or thylam in different parts of the body. For example, we can use Pinda thylam. Pinda means the one which goes on the head. Usually when we give a head massage to a person, the oil that goes on the head, it is supposed to be more either Brahmi or Ashwagandha or mostly Brahmi, Ashwagandha, Bhringaraj, things that will calm them down. If it's a pitta person, then maybe coconut oil with a little bit of rose or sandalwood or mint added, just to calm them down. So intention is to start with a head massage and then use a Pinda Tailam. And when you go to the body, you can use a different. If there's a localized area within the body which is inflamed or has a pitta condition or a vata condition, then you use a different one. For example, the person is constipated, then the abdomen is massaged with sesame oil or vata oil, and sometimes you will put essential oil of cumin. So oils are so amazing because oils can be absorbed directly through the skin. When we do panchakarma, we give a person ghee to eat in the beginning, upakarma. Then we also massage them. So after 5 or 6 days of massaging and actually eating oil in their food, their stools become very oily. And then they are ready to do the second course where we do the pradhana karma therapies. So now that they've had that, we do sweat therapies, we do vamanam, nasya, and so on and so forth. So oils are very, very important. But what kind of oils is the question? Most important in Ayurveda is ghee. So ghee is sweet, it's cooling, it's rejuvenating, good for the eyes and the vision, kindles digestion, bestows luster and beauty, enhances memory and stamina, increases intellect, promotes longevity, aphrodisiac, protects the body from various diseases. But please remember, when Bhava Prakash, this is one of our Ayurvedic textbooks, when they're talking about ghee, what kind of ghee are they talking about? They're not talking about just any ghee, they're talking about ghee from cow's milk. So this ghee must come from a cow's milk. Why? Why should it come from a cow's milk? Yeah. So ghee made from cow's milk, not from buffalo's milk, not from sheep's milk, not from camel's milk. Having said that, if you read the Ayurvedic text, there is mention of using milk from goat. So if you have a kapha person, the only milk they're allowed to drink is goat's milk and goat's cheese because it is very drying and astringent. And when a vata person is taking milk, goat milk, or drying and astringent goat cheese, it's actually drying them out. And it is rajasic in nature. So for a kapha person, it is good to get a little bit more rajasic, get moving. But for a vata person, they're already rajasic. They're always in motion. It's not, you need to calm down, more kapha inducing. So cow's milk will help the mind. So it's very important. And then you use it internally with food as well as herbs. And going forward, when you start your Ayurvedic herbology, we will be doing preparation of Ayurvedic jams, which are called asavas or layas. And we will be doing preparation of churnams and preparation of Ayurvedic ghee as well. So it's an integral, if you've heard of চ্‍යவனপ্રાശ, Agastya Rasayanam, very, very integral part of all these tonic herbs. It is an anupan and externally for massage. And we also use it for busties for people with chronic constipation, even IBS, simply because, or especially when someone has very hard and dry stools, their rectum literally has dried up. Then we use oil and ghee and water mixed together with herbs. For example, we might just give ghee. First we give water basti, then we give ghee or oil basti, then we give water basti again because we want to hydrate the rectum and the colon. And then when, it lasts for at least for 4 or 5 weeks. They have no problem. So once there is moisture in the colon, not only will it scrape off the ama from the colon, but it will also make sure that the stools are not hard. It's very sattvic. It helps balance the mind. And mind, if you want to move it from tamas to sattva, it's very important. And one very important Ayurvedic therapy we use is eye treatment. Somebody with very sensitive eyes, even conjunctivitis, then we will use, we take a little bit of dough made up of Bengal gram or rice or wheat, and we put it around the eyes and make a little bowl cup out of it. I'll share a picture with you later. And then we pour ghee, not a little bit above room temperature, but pretty much room temperature, and sometimes mix it with amalaki because amalaki is amazing for removing pitta from the eyes. And sometimes I've used for Atul because he's pitta and his eyes get really red. For Netra Darpan, I mix amalaki, saffron, and rose water together, make a little tea, then I mix it with ghee, and then I keep it in the fridge. And then he, when he gets these red eyes, he'll put it on his eyes, and it really seems to help him. But this is again, this is not going to cure anything, but it helps in the management of eyes as well. And it's amazing. It makes you sleep. You just want to sleep once you had Netra Darpan done. So if you make it down here for the March 10th workshop, I will be showing Netra Darpan as well. What are the quality? Heavy, slow, liquid, dense, it's soft. Typo here. Okay, it increases rasa. So we have talked about if somebody's rasa dhatu is low. If somebody's ojas is low, what do? Use ghee. What kind of ghee? Cow's milk, unsalted organic. So the way I learned to make ghee is we would get cow's milk every day. So we had a, we would walk to where the cows were kept a few minutes from our house, and they would take the milk out of the cow, raw milk from the cow, and we'd bring it home, and we'd boil it to a certain temperature, and the cream would come out. Then my mother would use the cream to make ghee, and the whole house would smell of burning ghee. We'd make it literally from scratch, very, very fresh. So in the morning, we would get the milk, and in the evening, all the cream would be taken out, and she would, within 1 or 2 days, prepare it into ghee. Very, very sattvic. And when you burn ghee or when you make ghee in the house, if there is anything negative, anything tamasic lurking in the house, any energy, it will destroy that energy. That is why ghee is used in homas or fire sacrifices in Buddhism and Hinduism. So if you feel the atmosphere, for example, if you have a yoga studio or a business place, burning a ghee wick. So take a little bit of cotton, make a wick out of it or a lamp, warm your ghee, dip it in ghee, and then burn it. So burning of the ghee wick will release negative energy from the atmosphere, especially for people who are in the healing business. That's very important because that negative energy remains behind. And also, it's very good for promoting wound healing. So, when we were kids and we'd get burns, along with aloe vera gel, we would put ghee. So ghee is so deeply moisturizing that people who use ghee in burns and wound healing, that really promotes their wound healing. What are the contraindications? High ama, high kapha, high cholesterol, dosha, B minus minus. So it is amazingly dosha pacifying. P minus, K plus. So it does increase kapha, so kapha has to be very careful. It has a nourishing and tonifying action on the dhatus, and it increases shukra dhatu. Somebody's trying to have a baby, increase fertility, so we give ghee. Other oils that are great, like sunflower oil. Sunflower is astringent, a little bit bitter. So it's excellent for kapha and pitta, but not for vata. It does not mean vata cannot have it. It's just they have to have it in small amounts. Then you have cold pressed coconut oil. It's amazing. I'll be talking about that in a second. It is vata neutral. It reduces pitta. It actually reduces cholesterol too. So but it's K plus. So I would not really give cold pressed coconut oil to vata or kapha, even if they have high cholesterol, simply because it's so cooling. It might have properties that help reduce cholesterol, but even if I give it to a kapha, I will make sure it's a very small amount. I would give another source that will help them reduce their ama. Extra virgin olive oil is pretty much neutral. So let's talk about coconut oil, and I think Zach had also raised a question about that at some point. Now, coconut oil is, especially the cold-pressed coconut oil, has become this wonder oil. So you have extra virgin, that means it's a first press or cold press, meaning the oil is not processed, it retains all its goodness. It has not been bleached, deodorized, or refined. The coconut oil is good, then it's cold pressed. And what is this cold pressed? That means the way they pressed it, they did not use any outside heat source. So when they use, just like in raw food, the maximum temperature used was 120 degrees Fahrenheit or less. So usually when you get coconut oil, you use a lot of heat, and when you control the heat, it will actually retain some of the flavor. Then we also have expeller pressed. I'll talk about that. And what is coconut oil? This cold pressed coconut oil used for diabetes, heart disease, chronic fatigue, Crohn's disease, irritable bowel syndrome, thyroid, lose weight, lower cholesterol. However, so this is a generic research from WebMD, but since the virya of coconut is cold, if a kapha person, I would still avoid it and not give it. For a vata person, I would give very small amounts. For pitta person who has diabetes or thyroid issue or heart disease, I would give coconut oil, lots of coconut oil. But this is just an Ayurvedic way of looking at things. So you're supposed to lose weight, but according to Ayurveda, kapha is not going to lose weight on coconut oil because it's so cooling and it's sticky. So that is another research that I just wanted to talk about. And cold pressed oils, very important. There's this whole thing about cold pressed oil. Cold pressed oil should not really be used for cooking, and if it is being used very low temperature, because when you cook cold pressed oils on high temperature, then they're losing their nutrition and their goodness, and you're changing the virya. And sometimes cooking oils on a high temperature will convert them into trans fats. So what is a cold pressed oil? They will use heavy granite millstones, a press, and temperature does not rise above 49. And sometimes they're even produced at less than 49. So they retain their flavor, aroma, nutritive value. So normally they will have olive oil, peanut oil. Peanut oil is, I would not really give it to anybody because it is a source of allergen. But if someone is okay with nuts, then I would probably be okay with giving it to a vata person in small amounts. Olive is pretty neutral. Sunflower is excellent for kapha and pitta. So there's a lot of controversy about this whole trans fats. So as of January 1, 2006, FDA has made it mandatory for food manufacturers to list the trans fats. And trust me, there's still trans fats the way they write it. And even if someone buys things that are not trans fat, they cook in such a way that it becomes trans fat. For example, frying something and refrying something. Every oil has a smoking temperature after which they become trans fats or they become toxic. So making sure that you're using the oil according to its smoking temperature. So this is from webmd.com. There's the whole LDL bad cholesterol and HDL good cholesterol that I'm not going to get into right now, but it's a good discussion for the forum because you will have people with these issues. And people who have high cholesterol, they somehow want to be on a zero fat diet, because I have cholesterol. But what fights the bad fat? It's the good fats that fight the bad fat. Of course, in Ayurveda, we give herbs like gugulu. We reduce their kapha intake if they're a kapha person. If they're eating red meat or any kind of meat which has a lot of cholesterol, we reduce that. Okay. So there is also an expeller pressed. Expeller pressed is a chemical-free mechanical process that extracts oil from seeds and nuts. So there is one, you use hexane, which is actually a chemical, and Ayurveda is not really pro-hexane. For example, you have castor oil, and it's a very important oil in Ayurveda, especially for purgative purposes. I don't know why I didn't write that. Castor oil is a purgative. That means we give castor oil to a person when they're chronically constipated, or we'll give them with herbs during panchakarma so they can pass all the ama out. Castor oil has this amazing ability to scrape the ama off and get rid of a lot of ama from your colon. So what kind of castor oil we want to use? And number 2, castor oil is really good for the eyes. But if it has been processed via hexane, it is not good for you. So the oil, castor oil that Ayurveda wants is hexane free, especially if you're going to use it for eye issues. It has to be hexane free. So you can get it from Whole Foods. And so when they use, uh, so there's one way they will use hexane extraction methods. And anything extracted from hexane is you're altering the structure of the oil, and that is considered processed food and toxin in Ayurveda. So that will not really promote healing. For healing, hexane-free expeller pressed. So the harder the nut or seed, the more pressure required to extract the oil, which in turn creates more friction and high heat. So expeller press is different from cold press. In cold press, there are certain oils that are very delicate and you want to retain the flavor and nuance. So cold press is it's all about controlling the heat. Expeller press is just pressing it pretty hard, and it's a mechanical process. This is a heat process. For Vata, sesame oil, ghee, and avocado oil. Sesame oil is warming, heavy, unctuous, healing, Vata pacifying, and can be used for cooking, frying, and massage because it has a high smoking temperature. Avocado oil, as avocado is rich in omega-3s, it is very good for women. It might have some small amount of estrogen in it. But of course, if somebody's had some issues, you don't want to give it. But for Vata, it is very kapha friendly. So anything which is kapha it increases kapha. So since avocado increases kapha, so Vata needs their kapha to be increased, then you can give them avocado oil. Again, it has to be cold pressed natural methods. So there's a company I found called Spectrum Organics, and I see their products in health food stores. Very good. So I got it from here. And then you have safflower oil as long as it's unrefined. And the heat, avocado oil can be heated up to 450 and it does not become trans fat. So you have to know the smoking points of the oils. And then for kapha and pitta, safflower and sunflower. For pitta, coconut oil. Now let's learn how to prepare ghee. Okay. So will you try making a ghee then?